welcome to the first ever Madaxeman lockdown podcast of the lockdown era. This is basically five blokes over slightly patchy audio chatting down the pub about toy soldiers. If you wish, think of it as a Poundshop Top Gear with less cars and more dice. We're talking about things, quite a wide range of things. Rommel, Xyston, Forged in Battle, Flames of War, Peter Pig, Essex miniatures, the museum hoplights, the Battle Empire game, overseas competitions, remember them when they used to exist, and even a bit of World of Tanks at the end. Please forgive us the audio. I think we've got a better solution for next time, and sit back and listen to this rubbish while you're painting, because that's all we're really doing, aren't we? Enjoy it and stay safe out there.
This means war.
Okay, well, welcome to yet another one of the incredibly sporadic Madaxeman.com podcasts. This is our first post-lockdown podcast in which we're using basically what is now everyday super multi-channel technology to beam in people from all corners of North and West London, or possibly where Peter lives. I'm not entirely sure. Because being wargamers, whilst we've known you for years, we haven't got a Scooby about anything other than what armies you own. So we're here online, and let's just go around the houses, going from the top. Who else do we have here? We've got Simon.
Hello, how's it going?
Where are you beaming in from, Simon?
I'm coming in from Paddington.
From Paddington, good. Mr. Finkel.
I am North Kensington.
North Kensington. Is that the posh bit or the scummy bit?
The scummy bit. What do you think?
Excellent. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Correct answer. Dave, where have you not got a cab from today?
Me, I'm in Harrow, darling.
Are you up the hill or down the hill?
I'm down the hill. I'm in South Harrow. Somebody said there's some bits of Harrow which are like Brixton. That's where I live.
Right. Okay. So is it South Harrow or is it
South Harrow?
South Harrow. Then all right. And Peter, the mystery man, whereabouts do you live?
I'm in the delights of the Isle of Dogs in the shining lights of Canary Wharf, just away.
So do you actually really live there, or are you just working late or something?
No, I actually live here.
Wow. Okay.
Have done for a couple of decades now.
Oh, fantastic.
Wasn't it in the Isle of Dogs in a certain movie about a zombie apocalypse and a lockdown?
Actually, that's a bridge I go over on the way to the tube. When I'm able to go on the tube. So it's a bit apt. Some of the scenes were filmed around where I live, which is a bit disturbing.
And I'm just trying to remember, was that 28 days later or 28 weeks later?
8 days later. The bridge that's protected, that's basically they've turned the Isle of Dogs into a protected area. The bridge that goes over to Canary Wharf, that's the normal bridge you walk across to get to the tube.
I've got a horrible feeling that's 28 weeks later rather than the first one, 28 days.
Yeah, 28 weeks, yes.
Yeah.
And they filmed the new Sweeney movie just behind my house as well.
With Ben Drew, who is Plan B, isn't it?
Yeah.
God. Well, that's a tour of London involving gun-based violence. So that kind of gets us all of us vaguely.
So that's the scene.
Film, cinema, and gun-based violence, which gets us broadly back to wargaming.
This means war. This means war.
So, as we said, this is our first five blokes who should be at the pub but not. Chatting during the world of lockdown. So for those of you who've been missing being down the pub listening to other blokes talk about wargaming stuff that you're not really interested in, because actually all you want to do is interrupt and tell them about what you're doing, this will recreate that experience for you, complete with a bit of beer and some background noises, what sounds like at least one of the five people who appears to be broadcasting from within a packet of pork scratchings. Not quite sure who that is, but who's anybody admits to eating crisps? Not quite sure. So, So look, so I guess we've now been 2 weeks. There was a world of port scratchings here. We've now been 2 weeks of this or
I think it's my beard on the mic. I haven't been able to get my haircut on that.
Oh well, the haircut thing's a whole different thing. Most of us are losing hair, but we're going to have far too much by the end of this, aren't we? Because no one can go to a barber, and Amazon has run out of men's hair clippers already. So
What?
yes, no, that's true. My personal theory is that by the end of give it another month, and most people's group video calls will look like the introduction thing from the Muppets. A whole set of hairy kind of random.
We'll have no hair.
Yeah.
See that or Planet of the Apes.
Something like that, yeah. Luckily we got razor blades. But I think, the question is obviously working from home, WFH. In theory, when it's only you, that really often translates as a painting day. But unfortunately, when everybody else is doing the same and they keep ringing you up on video camera, it's a lot bloody harder, isn't it, really, to get anything done? I don't know. Has anybody actually managed to really make a dent into anything in the last week or 10 days?
I put some magnet on my base. That was as close as I've got so far.
You've just done basing?
I know, literally one magnet on a base.
One magna base. Oh no!
Yeah.
All right. Dave, you're kind of furloughed, sequestered, whatever it is. But I've seen some of your stuff. What have you been going for?
So I have painted in the last week 8 bases of Scythian horse archers.
So when you say bases, do you mean cavalry or light horse or dismounts?
15mm, forged in battle. Scythian medium cavalry, 3 to a base for ADLG.
So is that the mythical Kickstarter has actually arrived?
I've actually painted the first Kickstarter. This is the second lot I've got. It's an entire army of Scythians.
Wow.
I've copied the guy who beat me in the first round at the Worlds in Rome.
You lost to a Scythian army?
I did, yes.
Oh my lord. So how?
Maybe my Indian ally was unreliable.
Right.
And his flake march arrived in the next go.
So what? So how do you paint an army so that happens every time you use it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But it gets a bit boring using the same tactic over and over again.
So I must admit, it's one of those armies that, is it something like next to a good army in the army list book, and you always flick through it? I can't remember ever even seeing it.
I think it's one of those that you look at and it sounds interesting in the concept, and then you put it on the table and you go, well, how am I going to win with this?
Well, Dave's got the answer.
I think my opponent was, I was using Alexander's army with elephants, so he had one command which was all the heavy cavalry.
Right.
Bow.
Heavy
Another
cavalry.
command is the off table on the flank march, which was 6 medium cavalry, which suddenly appeared very rapidly. But he had a third command, which was Tim's favourite ally, a Thracian Plains ally. So that was 4 javelinmen, 2 light horse, and a light foot. And that caused enough problems to hold my elephants in play.
Actually, yeah, that's quite a lot for an elephanty sort of command. But don't your Thracians just come out in front of the elephants and chop them up?
Not in this case, no.
Oh, right.
His javelin ran off, and so I had 2 Thracians and an elephant attacking his 4 javelin men.
Yeah.
And 2 light horse. So, and then, of course, it's like I say, my Indian ally in the centre of the table. Well, in the centre of the table did nothing.
Yeah.
Until he's got overwhelmed. So anyway, it was a bad start to the world. So I thought, and it was a very pretty army he had. He in fact, the same figures, the forged in battle figures.
Oh, right. So they were out last year.
Yeah, they're the first round. So they're the sort of classical, forged in battle did classical armies, Carthaginian, Romans, and all that first. The Kickstarter this year has been
the sort of Normans and that sort of period.
Yeah, exactly.
So has that army arrived yet? Because it sounds like, Peter, you've got that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I I've got mine. Dave, you got yours back in sort of September time on the second Kickstarter. I've been trying and doing a few of the Normans on this one. So I wanted to build out the Norman army I've got. So I've been having fun doing Sicilian Normans and a few like that. So I thought I'd actually build it out to have all the dismounts and everything else, so you can turn up and have a bit more perspective when you have a great big line of medium knights. So I was going to be using that on a couple of competitions, which have since been moved.
Yeah, moved and postponed. Okay.
Yes.
So
Andy, you're saying that you're picking up some figures for King of the Battlefield. You're saying that they are
Unmuted.
the old Eureka miniatures that no longer are sold here in the UK?
That's right. Yeah. It's just a couple of units, because I just wanted to clear them out of the way, and then I concentrate on painting my Vikings. I've got this idea. I want to do 1066, have all the different armies, and I've got stuff that can masquerade as Saxon. So with the War and Empire Kickstarter, I've bought some figures which I can make up to the rest of the Saxons. I've got a complete Viking army, and I've already got the Normans. So I thought eventually maybe do some sort of campaign based on the Scharnhorst Blucher system, because I think that could actually be quite a good method of creating battles for ADLG.
okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can definitely pull a few maps out, because the way the Scharnhorst system works, for those who've never played Blucher, the rules writer has pulled out a series of about 12 maps of France, Europe, and Germany, and various other locations where some big battles happened, and then you can use those to generate your battles. So it's all done on a grid system. So then you move your army around to different divisions, and then that helps you set the table up. So you don't get a straight line up and fight game. It's more of something might come in from one flank, or the other flank will never arrive, and all that. So that could work very nicely in ADLG.
So how have you set the armies? The Vikings up then, Andy? Because I guess that's always a choice of your stodgy Lidang or Lidang, which is a whole different debate, or your slightly more flaky but faster moving medium foot kind of attacky stuff.
Well, these are kind of Vikings rather than Leydang, and I've got a couple of bases of berserkers, and I've got some medium swordsmen, but essentially it's going to be mainly heavy sword with some hostiles. I've got a mix of figures, some with spears, axes, and swords. A bunch of them. I'm looking to have them all armed the same, because I think that'll look a bit better.
Did you get the Viking longship in the Kickstarter?
No, I didn't. That looks hugely expensive for what it was.
Looked good though.
Pardon?
Looked good though.
Oh, they're just beautiful. I mean, actually, at Warfare last year, I think it was, they had the Norman Mott and Bailey Castle painted and set up, and that looked absolutely spectacular. It's completely impracticable scale for ADLG, but it's a beautiful looking movie.
So was that made out of MDF, or is that the first boat not to be made out of MDF in recent memory?
No, I think it's pewter rather than MDF.
Wow, that is going to be expensive to buy.
I thought it was resin.
It might be. You might be right there.
Yeah, I think they did it resin, because they also did a Byzantine church.
Yeah.
Where you can actually swap it out depending on who've you got holding Constantinople.
Or what, you swap the symbol on the top?
Literally, and they had spare symbols.
That's pretty cute. That's pretty good. I like that idea. Good. Right.
This means war.
So, Dave, you've been doing. We said you've done your Scythians. Andy, you've been doing some Dark Ages Kickstarter. So it's a world of Forged in Battle at the moment. Simon, you've stuck one base with MDF. So what about you, Peter? What have you been He says with a slight Australian accent, having mentioned the word Simon. What are you doing, Peter?
Yeah. I was just saying just before, I was doing Flames of War. I've managed to do a company of German paratroopers. Try and pronounce it correctly this time, Volksjäger, which I've had a box of them sat staring at me. So yeah, as we're doing the lockdown, and as the kids have been home and I haven't had to do the usual ferrying skills off to take them off to various activities and the delights of Canary Wharf for a beer, I've had the weekend basically cleaning up a whole company of paratroopers to set up for eventually playing Flames of War again, which I haven't because I've been so busy on the ADLG and everything else.
So
I've been up to the last few years.
So is this new edition Flames of War then? Because you played it way back when it was Flames of War, and it was the most competitive wargaming rule set since the days of high DBM, I guess. But there seems to have been down at Central London, well, while Central London was still open, a sort of slight renaissance of Second World War with people actually playing Flames of War, and there's always a lot of the stuff in shops as well. They're still bringing it out, so someone's buying it. But
well, what they've done is they've converted a lot to plastic. You've had the Plastic Soldier Company, which brought on a lot of that, because the armies, when I was playing it back then, it was competitive, but it was a big old thing to carry around and fairly expensive. With the plastics, it's brought the price point down and the accessibility. They've rejigged the point scenario and everything else, so it's slightly smaller forces, not the same extent as it was before, but it's still a very good playable rule set. From what I've read and what I've seen, and heard from the guys at the club and everything else, it's still very popular. It still plays quite well. The new version needed a fair bit of tweaking, and they've just released the late war book, so it sort of spurred a few people like myself to get back into it. And as I've got more time than I'd normally have, was hoping to be either Paris this weekend and off sailing in the competition in the following weekend, I suddenly have time on my hand to actually get some painting done.
But is it a new set of rules, or is it an upgrade? Is that
it's an upgrade.
Question.
Yeah, it's more of a how can I say it? An evolution of the rules. So they haven't thrown everything out. But they've substantially changed it. I'm just waiting for the new version of the rule book to come along. So they've tidied up a lot of the things, and from what I've read and heard, they changed a bit of the stuff that people would sort of gamify, as opposed to actually make it playable.
Oh, sorry. So you're waiting for the new version 4 rule book, not the version 4.1 of something.
Yeah, the new version 4. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been updated with the latest edition of the late war information. So I've just got the 2 late war books that they've just done for D-Day, which has got the new points and how they actually configure the armies. So imagine ADLG, but they've actually rejigged how they've actually set out how, say, the Normans in Sicily were put. So it makes it, takes out some of the trick stuff that people were doing.
Right. Okay. So, Dave, you started this, and you may still be alive somewhere at the other end of the phone in Harrow. Has World War II ever appealed to you at all?
As Ian Mackay said, I won't have any Nazis in the house.
Okay.
Having said that, I'll admit I have got a bag of Volksjäger upstairs.
Well, that's the best place for them, isn't it? Exactly. If they jump out, they can.
Yeah, they landed on the roof. Yeah,
exactly. They were dressed as nuns as well.
Is that some sort of film that I don't remember properly, or is that?
I think it's Dad's Army, isn't it?
Something in the 70s. Now, I've got a lot of Americans for a US force, so I thought I'd do the ones that they go up against.
Yeah, all my Second World War stuff is it's based for PBI, the Peter Pig sort of grid set of rules, which I think kind of evolved into being slightly too overcomplicated, and then ended up being played by not enough people really. And so I think I've got about 3 different iterations of it. Probably the last iteration I've only ever played once, in that classic of buy rule sets, never play them world. But I do love the figures. I think I've got some Brits, some Americans, a load of Germans. I think I flogged a load of Russians on eBay just because that was just too boring. And
I bought a load of British and Germans off you, Tim, some years ago.
yeah,
And I've been using them playing Jeff at Rommel, and we really enjoy that.
Those were 10mm ones, weren't they?
Pardon?
Those were 10mm ones.
Yeah, I think mainly Pendragon, yeah.
Yeah. I played Rommel against Jeff and really didn't get on with it at all. I just found it.
Jeff's a very smart player. He's really good. Hand ahead to you unless you really know what you're doing. So that's what tends to happen to me most of the time. But occasionally I manage not to bog it up too much. But you actually get a game done in a reasonable period of time. And there are some scenarios they've published now which are better than the generic ones that they do in the book.
Yeah,
and some of them work quite well, and they can be quite tense.
Because it did appeal to me, the concept of sort of a more strategic level sort of quasi board game, but I just found the scenarios that played in the first couple of games, they kind of had a trick in them or something. I don't know. You were defending 2 out of 3 objectives, and if you chose the wrong 2, you'd just lose.
Or you get to guard your supply line and somebody goes sitting on it, then you're stuck. Yeah. But once you learn not to do that, or like in late war, there's an event you can do with the Allies called carpet bombing, and that takes off every unit in the square. Now, I once put all my artillery in the one square together at the back, and then it got carpet bombed. I've never done that since.
Well, it's a bit like the Flames of War thing where you had with the US. I think they've changed it now, but they used to have this naval bombardment thing that was basically grid square removal, which got a bit tricksy. But they've also kept in one called Time and Target, which was basically the US, where they actually had deviously calculated about how to get all the batteries' guns to actually land at the same time, same place, instead of all over the place. So if that lands, you can basically take out a whole bunch of units and reduce their saves and stuff, which is always quite entertaining when you manage to get the opposition's command element under there.
Yeah, but I guess though, if you know you're fighting something that's going to have a big artillery stonk, you can sort of spread out. I just found there was some, I don't know, game square level things with Rommel that if you didn't defend this and sacrifice this one, it was just unwinnable, and it just wasn't a particularly enjoyable experience. But I guess that's it, each to its own, really.
Yeah, well, as I say, if you try one of the different scenarios, I think you might find it a bit more enjoyable. But
yeah,
I speak as I find, so.
This means war.
Is anyone trying a sort of like painting challenge then, aiming to get a new army done by the time we come out of sort of like restricted isolation?
Yeah,
just the one.
Yeah, I reckon this Scythian army will be done by Tuesday.
Oh.
Wow. You're thinking this pandemic's going to finish fast, eh?
I'm really not joking. I'm thinking the lead mountain is going to have to be refreshed.
Well, I've got a load of stuff you could do in mine if you want.
I'm actually painting them right now, and I'm loving painting them.
So what gives them that thing? Because I've got some of those forged in battle stuff. Some of them look a tiny little bit pinched, but and sort of a bit detail free, but they paint up nicely. But and people do rave about them, and and I like them, but they're still not they're not Xyston, if that makes sense.
Oh, I don't know.
Really? Wow.
I think at first sight they don't look as good, but what I've done is I've sprayed these ones black.
Right.
I've undercoated them black, and then I've sort of dry brushed them with a grey over the top to bring out the detail. And once you see the detail in them, they're really quite good. And I mean, well, these Scythians, for example, because it's a Scythian army, so you want a lot of variety. So I'm sitting here, and like the heavy cavalry, who are sort of like the cataphracts or the noble cavalry, there's like I've got 12 bases, and there must be 6 different figures, but they look together really good.
Yeah. Okay. Because they produced a huge number of figures in that Kickstarter, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, I did your trick, Tim, where you sprayed them white as an undercoat, and used those Games Workshop inks, not quite inks.
Yeah, the new contrast pack. Well, I say
the contrast paints. That's it. Yeah, and they, as Dave is saying, it sort of like picks up the detail. It's almost nuanced. Some of the Xyston stuff that I've had, I admittedly haven't got a lot of it. It's almost like the detail's gone over time, because compared to fresher molds and things like that. I really like the Xyston stuff. It's just the Forged in Battle stuff. I can get one, a lot more, and two, quite frankly, for my competence and level of painting, it picks up the detail and allows me to put it across quite nicely.
Okay. So how much on the Kickstarter then? How much does it work out a figure? Is there some maths on it?
I'm still in the Kickstarter, and with the Kickstarter last year, the Dark Ages one, I got a Byzantine army, and I got that very early, and I've just bought this Scythian army, and it's £8 for 24 infantry, or £8 for 12 cavalry.
So about 40p.
And it's about it's 120 quid for an army with all the various options, really.
So it's 33p a foot figure. Is that right? 8 for 24? Am I doing my maths right? 33p a foot figure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
for that money, it's got all the figures.
That's at the Kickstarter rate. That's basically it's 12 quid normally for the same sort of figures.
Okay.
Yeah, 50p a figure. So even at full price, they're 50p a figure, which I think is quite reasonable these days for what you pay for 15mm figures.
Yeah, because Essex has gone bonkers, hasn't it? And I think Essex has kind of crept up on us as being expensive now.
Yeah. But then I think Essex has got some new figures which are really quite nice.
Yeah, they've moved on a bit, but I suppose I'm just so tired of seeing. Well, there was a few years when you just see Essex figures in the same poses in every army, and it just got a bit monotonous. But the world's moved on from that a bit.
But there's still quite a few people who are loyal to that sort of. I mean, I think there's some people who like that
uniformity. Yeah.
No, well, I've just been chewing through some of those.
Without naming names.
those new museum hoplites. Chucked a few of those work in progress photos up on the website this last week.
They look really nice flags, don't they?
Well, I really like. They're nice, they're great. But I think I still can't quite get my head around whether the fact that makes them look really good is the fact that they've got really huge shields, so they've just got a massive little big man transfer that you can't help noticing, and the shields are flat or much flatter than normal ones, so it doesn't even crinkle up and mess up. The transfer just sits on it. So
see, that's one problem for me, that I really would like to do hoplites, but I just suck with those transfers for whatever reason. Whenever I try it, they all fall apart on me.
It might be the curvature of the shields. If you try and stick them on an Essex or something, the shield's so curved that the transfer just doesn't stick on properly. But these are, they're flat and big, and they're almost kind of like washers or something like that, just big slabs of metal that the transfers just stick on, and you actually get a really, really big image.
They are huge. One of the guys in Spain I was playing was using them. And they are huge shields, and they're not as curved, are they?
No, they're almost completely flat.
How was the Spain fiasco?
Oh, God, yeah, Spain fiasco, yeah.
Well, we weren't talking about you know what.
No, we're not talking about. Let's just pretend that you went on holiday somewhere and had a disaster.
To be honest, the highlight was getting horribly drunk in Pamplona with Iñaki on Friday.
That never happens.
No.
No, that was really. I mean, it was really drunken.
Were you not uplifted by
Iñaki, whilst he was trying to sort out the entire education system of Pamplona during the crisis, he was drinking harder than I was, that's for sure.
So did you, on Friday night, did you know it was already toast?
We knew that the players from Alicante had turned back at Zaragoza.
Right.
So we knew we were going to, I mean, I think on Friday we thought would be 12 out of 40 players. As it was, we turned out to be 8 out of 40 players.
Wow.
And Dave Allen was left in the lead.
Yeah, well, that was kind of, yes, he was, yes.
For a while.
What was really funny was there was 8 players on the Saturday in a bar where they were playing music which sounded like Kiss FM, not Kiss FM, Heart, which is the pain of my life at the moment. Anyway, so it's basically Iñaki's club versus the 1, 2, and 3 highest players in Europe.
Right.
Me, Dave Allen, and Gordon. For some crazy reason, we're number 1, 2, and 3. And one of Iñaki's clubs.
That's probably because Massimiliano's not been playing it yet.
No, exactly, because no one else has played any competitions. We're number 1 and 2 and 3. And one of Iñaki's club, who they all were taking the piss out of, quite frankly, was he was sitting there going, right, he only has to beat Dave Allen to have beaten the 1, 2, and 3 best players in the world. So that was quite amusing.
Oh. And then you got locked down on Saturday night, was it? Or
well, on Saturday they were. I think the whole of the rest of the city went into lockdown on Saturday. I'm not quite sure how that bar stayed open. It was like we were in the Pamplona version of the UK.
Right. Okay. Nobody
but
noticed.
With better beer and better food.
Nobody noticed.
So they kept going, but on Saturday night we knew we weren't going to be doing anything on Sunday. So on Sunday we ran for the airport.
Yeah. And was that even, because if you started in Pamplona, that's quite a long way from Bilbao, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was only. I mean, with the motorway back, it was absolutely empty apart from trucks carrying food, and we were back at the airport by 12. Well, Dave Allen he got a new flight and came back straight away, and Gordon sat there.
I'm not surprised after his previous Spanish experience.
Yeah, I think he realised his EasyJet flight might disappear on him.
And it just did. God. So that would have been the last. So was that literally the last War Games competition, or was perhaps?
That's what we're saying. If this Spanish player had he beat Gordon and beat me.
Yeah.
So if he'd beaten Dave Allen, and that was the last competition in Europe this year, he could have ended up being the top player in the world.
In the world this year.
Default.
And I was saying, come on, John. All you know what his name was. All you got to do is beat Dave Allen.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's legitimate. I'm still technically the best, the European champion at Fog Renaissance. From the one time there was a competition about 7 years ago. So I think that's still on my
still unbeaten. Yeah.
On the TV.
On the forum, yeah, definitely. Because I escaped from the last competition in North America. I think, was it that same weekend? Or was that?
Yeah, it was the same weekend. I was watching both of you guys escape.
Yeah, and that was nuts as well. So,
I saw your pictures. They were quite good. America
just went weird on Wednesday evening. And then by, I think, Thursday night, Dan picked me up at an airport and we drove to this strange little town on which is basically the side of a road where sometimes if it gets dark you've got to be hopeful that the Amish people in buggies with horses have got rear lights, otherwise you can stack them on like a dual carriageway, and went to the legendary host which is the home of Historicon, but this was for Cold Wars. And there's just huge amounts of tables set out for people to come and do that American competition thing. Well, not competition, convention thing, and congregate and play multiplayer games that set up. And Thursday night, there was no one there at all. You know, I think there must have been 40, 50 tables in this room, and I think maybe half a dozen were occupied, if that. It was super quiet watching a game of Battle Empire, and then the next day we had a doubles competition, and a lot of players had dropped out. I think poor old Dan was just fielding calls and WhatsApps and stuff from people just being told you're not going by their better halves. And I think we still ended up with something like 12 doubles teams, 10 or 12 doubles teams. So there were sort of 20 odd players there. And I partnered up with a guy I can know on and off, Steve Roper, to use this Sassanid army, because the guy that I was going to play with couldn't get down. His wife pointed out, I think his doctor pointed out, that he had the kind of medical condition that meant if he came, he may die. Which focuses the mind.
A little bit extreme.
Yeah, it focuses the mind. And so we just struggled with this Sassanid army well, I think we actually did all right in the first couple of games. And then in the final game, we played a couple of really nice guys from Canada. One was a Canadian, one was a Brit, who they were sort of new players in that way that you can do in ADLG. And they got what you look at as a, 4 or 5 year player and go, well, that's a weird army composition. And then they just throw, I think he had like something like 8 pikemen in the middle, and then a command with sort of 3 elephants and a couple of Thracians and stuff next to it, and then 5 companions maybe. And they just stacked it against one edge of the table, hurled it forwards, got first move in, and we just got run over by it before we could get out of the way. It was just like, what on earth was going on?
Luck, are you?
Cataphracts got crushed by the pikemen, and they couldn't chew up the companions anywhere near quick enough, and their elephants battered ours because they were elite, and we just got hammered in that one. And then we had a big old American meal and a singles competition 3 days on the second day, and I managed to lose 2 out of the 3 in that one in pretty quick order. So I had a lot of time walking around a very large but very empty trade show, trying to work out what was unique in America to buy.
So you didn't sort of harness the luck that Harrison had when he went over to play in the American competitions then? Not
at all. No, I just had some spectacular incompetence and some spectacular bad dice, but I did pick up some I think sort of 32 millimeter military garden gnomes.
Gnomes.
Yeah, gnomes. I've got a gnome Napoleon, like a gnome something. I don't know. Someone.
What were you drinking there?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Persuaded me. A really important idea. And apparently this company started doing these years ago and have gradually brought out whole armies of them. So there's like Anzac gnomes riding kangaroos, and there's gnomes riding rabbits.
Why have I got a vision of what your generals are going to be on your next ADLG army?
I think that's basically it, really, isn't it? That's the answer. So I think they're going to appear as generals at some point.
This means war.
You said you got to see Battle Empire there.
Yeah.
What's your view of it? I mean, a fair few of us were painting up Napoleonic stuff and looking at it.
Yeah,
but it hasn't quite kicked off just yet, really, has it?
Well, certainly, I was watching a game, and the guys sort of, they knew enough of the rules to keep moving forwards, and I could see they were actually repeating, as units moved, actually quite a small set of things. So I think once you get playing it, it didn't appear as daunting as it looks on the page. I suspect there's a lot of the rules which are simplified, and it's like, I'm moving, I shoot, I do this, bosh. And once you get the markers sorted out, that you need to know what each unit did. So I was kind of encouraged by it, but but then I don't know anything at all about Napoleonics. And the sort of consensus seemed to be that there's actually a simple and good set of rules in there, but there's possibly that the same way that ADLG is actually version 3, Battle Empire is version 1. So there might be an element of there's possibly still some corners to be knocked off as and when we play a bit more. But I did get the impression that the game would move along and the troops moved up and they shot and they fell back and cavalry went in and got battered, or they went in and swept people away and pursued forward. So stuff seemed to happen quite straightforwardly. But I just think it's working out which rules you need to be familiar with, if that makes sense. Rather than.
So has it encouraged you to sort of set up a Napoleonics and give it a go then?
Yeah, no. Well, I'm looking as we speak at three units of infantry that are done, and I've started a unit of cavalry, and I even bought some more of the Old Glory 10mm strip ones as well, to turn into extra units for the French when I was over there, partly because I just felt so sorry for some of the traders that I just needed to give people money. It was so bloody quiet at this event. There was just a big list of cancelled board games up, and I think the only game that anyone was playing was Pandemic, which was I suppose
Look a bit horrific.
Yeah, which is appropriate. And they had the flea market, which is sort of a self-done bring and buy. Everybody was skirting around and trying to stay 6 feet away from everybody who was selling stuff, which made it harder to look at. Not many small-scale figures got bought, I don't think. But then just scooted out on the Saturday night, changed my flight and got out a day early because there was just going to be nothing happening on Sunday at all. The place was just going to be closed. I just got out on the last flight home, really.
I think you piled out at the right time.
Absolutely.
That's the same as us. It was like Sunday was cancelled. Head for the airport. Get out of here while you can.
Yeah, Sunday was definitely cancelled.
This means war.
So hopefully going forward, this whole working from home thing calms down a bit, and there'll be scope to do a bit more painting, really. But it's just finish off the hoplites, do a few more bits and pieces. Got this 28mm Assyrian army that's sort of getting close to done, but now without the time pressure of the competition looming to aim to have it finished for.
How do you think we could do sort of ADLG via like video conference or email or something?
I was having a bit of a think about this because, as you do when you're in a conference call, so one way is most of us have double armies, so you could line up both armies on the same side on the table and play via FaceTime or whatever your chosen conference thing is. So at least then both you get that visual of the army. You could go nerdy and buy a hex table or a mat with 40mm wide squares on it, something like that.
Hexes is tricky unless the hex is the exact width of the 40mm. I've got the Command and Colors game, and that's got the big hexes. And I tried doing ADLG on that, and the problem is that if the hex is exactly 40mm across, that you've got a discrepancy between the width and the depth of the unit.
Right. Yeah, Hex might be over-egging it, really. I think a lot of retailers have almost closed down now as well. Even they're struggling for mail order. I'm not sure I'm quite up for buying a Hex mat just yet. I guess it's, the other thing is to whether we would actually get any enjoyment out of playing any sort of online games. But I don't know. I think it's so much the figures.
Yeah, unless we all did a sort of a drunken World of Tanks sort of guild sort of thing to go in and see how gloriously we could get slaughtered by various people who've been paying for years sort of thing.
Actually, that's the point, isn't it? World of Tanks. That is the magic ingredient. I'd completely forgotten how much I used to play that. Because if you get all in a battle with people who are all the same level of incompetence, of which Probably
It becomes very funny very quickly.
does become very funny very quickly. Yeah. Andy, Dave, have you ever done that? Or
No.
I've never ever played anything like that.
right?
Fudge.
It's free.
Right, I think
It's
that's the
free
next one.
It's free and it's a hoot, I think. And then we can all go in as a team, and then we can all chat to each other, which is basically, Dave, there's someone much better than you behind you who's going to shoot you. Oh no, you're dead.
Respawn or ramming speed, basically,
speed,
with
yeah.
some of the tanks. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, knowing my ability with games, it will probably be just, I'm sorry, I headed in the wrong direction.
So
That'll
Dave has
still
just volunteered to have the artillery.
That'll still be good for the rest of us. That'll still be good for the rest of us. We'll find it
Exactly.
entertaining.
Even
Good.
for arching competence, what we need to do is be a Russian army and have to communicate by flags.
Yeah.
I think honestly, trying to do Skype is hard enough some of the times. I don't think if we get down to signaling by flags, I think technology in the world has ended. Really, we'll be in a much darker place if we're down to flags. I'm giving up. I'm done. We'll bail out for that one. Cool.
Yeah, I think it was that 1941. Yeah, we're signaling by flag. This isn't a good idea.
No.
Right, are we saying you play World of Tanks by flag?
Yeah, that would sort of defeat the object. You should have to be in line of sight of each other.
I know. Well, Harrow on the Hill is quite high up, but not that high up.
Have you got a particularly big flag?
Yeah.
Could you raise up the flagpole, Dave? We'll look for the signal.
Well, I'm the wrong side of Harrow on the Hill.
Oh, right. Needs an even bigger flagpole then. Well, look, why don't maybe this is a Wargamers thing. We should all join World of Tanks again and just tool around and be idiots and be beaten by 12-year-olds from Russia.
Sounds good.
All right, well, dig it
sounds
out,
good to me.
download it. It's a free game if you've not got it, and we'll the rest of us will fire up and find out that we've probably got about 58 patches and upgrades to do since we last played it.
Well, the last time I was playing it was on the PS4, which I'd have to wrestle my sons for, so I'd have to load it up on the PC and start again.
Yeah, I think you probably would.
It's one of the games you have to play by using the up and down buttons and things like that.
That's basically it. Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, no.
It's very
No,
old
it is
school.
literally, up, down,
Won't be able to
left,
drive.
right, turn the turret and fire, or you could even play do some of the tank destroyers. You don't even have to worry about the turret moving.
No, you just, or you do the artillery. The artillery, you don't have to do anything. Just sit there.
Yeah.
Away.
Just sit me in a Jagdpanzer in the corner.
Yes, well, do the artillery, and you could just literally zoom into different areas to try and drop a round on someone.
Just to blow my own people up.
Yeah, no, all sorts of good stuff. No, let's try and find that and make that a deal, and then I guess we're cracking on for time now. I guess next time we reconvene, we maybe have stories of World of Tanks and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, and so like drinking fines in it.
Yes, that's true. World of Tanks with beer.
Yeah, World of Tanks with beer. First one that goes out has a sip, you know?
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah,
I'm in trouble.
yeah, we could be in a World of Tanks. All right, well, let's load up World of Tanks, and we will reconvene next time that we're all allowed away from doing all that great cooking, tidying up, and all those domestic jobs that we've been trying to avoid for years.
And the Mandalorian with Disney Plus.
Right. Okay. And then we'll just concentrate on growing some hair in the next
Done
time
that.
until we reconvene.